I'm Tracy Playle from Pickle Jar Communications. We'll come back to the silly company name later. My work focuses on digital comms and developing content strategies for the education sector. So the sources of inspiration that I'm going to share with you are about digital engagement. So I could start with something awesome like Google Glass, but instead I'm going to take you back over 2,000 years, hardly high tech, right? This chap, Confucius, inspires everything I do. He said, "Tell me and I'll forget, show me and I'll remember, involve me and I'll understand." Getting our audiences to listen is not enough. We need them to understand, and so we use technology to involve. But involving doesn't start with talking. It's the old cliche, isn't it, that there's a reason we have two ears and one mouth. And so the humble question mark inspires me. This isn't about asking superficial questions to get likes and comments, but about listening to audiences using social technologies to really understand them. This is Sugata Mitra, famous for his hole-in-the-wall experiments. He wanted to understand more about the role that technology plays in engaging people, mostly for learning, and so he built a computer into a wall in a slum in Delhi, a place where nobody had used computers before, and filmed it to see what would happen. Children would gather around the computer, prompted not by force, but by curiosity and social connectivity. Group-guided learning and discovery would just happen. And that's inspired me to think more about the real-life social experiences of our audiences using technology. Think of a group of 17-year-olds huddled around a laptop watching YouTube videos. It's not always a solitary experience. And I'm often asked how I find time to keep on top of trends in digital comms. So for the last 4 years, I've taken a week out every March and headed to Texas in the United States to soak up inspiration at the South by Southwest conference. And there I came across these next two people who have inspired me. The first is Gary Vaynerchuk. He sells wine online, and he wrote a wonderful book called The Thank You Economy. He has a beautiful way of observing social technologies as not being anything new at all, but instead seeing them as providing the ways and means in a busy world of reintroducing the corner shop mentality. So for decades we've impersonalised the world by building giant malls, developing e-commerce and turning intimate seminar experiences into MOOCs with tens of thousands of students. Social media enables us to start treating that interaction like a chat with our local baker again, human, bonding, and proving that casual chat can be productive. Relationships, not transactions. When Blake Mycoskie of Tom's Shoes took to the stage, it changed the way that I think about running a business and about effective communications. Tom's blows every company's corporate social responsibility efforts out of the water. For every pair of shoes you buy, they donate another pair to someone in the developing world. Blake blew my mind with how he told us about Tom's. He tells the story of these two children living in South America. They had one pair of shoes between them, and the walk to school was rough. So they alternated. The one who had the shoes that day went to school. Tom's provided them both with shoes. They were healthier, and they could now both go to school every day. He wasn't talking about a product. He was telling us a story, and one that evoked empathy. We can work our USPs and our key messages until the cows come home, but we really crack good digital communications when we learn that storytelling and empathy is everything. We're going to jump north now in the United States and meet Ken Elmore, who's the Dean of Students at Boston University. Ken's a middle-aged senior university administrator, but he regularly engages with his students through social technologies such as Spotify to create playlists with them as a way of connecting with them. He's kind of the dad dancing at the party, right? Well, I put that question to him when I visited him, and this is what he said. He said, "Tracy, you know, the thing about the dad dancing at the party is he's going to dance, and do you know what? Eventually, everyone else wants to start dancing with him." And I think he's right. I think we're so often scared of looking daft in social media that we hold back and don't recognise just how much our audiences can love us being there, so long as we're doing it well. Fun's infectious. It engages us. It holds our attention. And this is exactly what we want to achieve in communications, holding people's attention. So now I'm spending a lot of my time looking not so much at new tools and technologies, but learning about how humour and comedy can engage people and finding out how we can apply that to the serious business of communicating about education. It's things that hold people's attention that really inspire me, and boy do mobile phones do that. In the UK, we spend more time every day on average playing games on our smartphones than we do making phone calls or sending texts. Games and play capture us and hold our attention. And as much as we might hate the updates telling us that our friend has just purchased a new cow for their virtual farm, instead of shutting that off, how can we instead seek inspiration from that? This isn't about whacking ads into mobile games, but instead about understanding why the human mind is wired this way and why games hold our attention. And injecting fun into the workplace is critical too. What can we learn from this? We experiment with making the workplace more fun in order to increase team satisfaction, creativity and productivity. Pickle Jar Communications isn't just a fun company name, but also aspires to be a fun environment to be in. So let's stick now and end with that fun company name. You might be familiar with the Pickle Jar theory of time management. At the moment we're exploring that theory to see how and if it can also apply to communication strategy and planning. In this theory, you imagine your life as a jar to represent your time. If you fill it with the tiny things, water, let's say, first, then there's no room for the big things, the rocks, the things that really matter in your lives. By starting with the rocks, those things that matter, we prioritise and are then able to fill the smaller things, the pebbles, the sand and the water, into the spaces around it. I think this is how our communication should be, and yet all too often it's the other way round. So here at the Case Europe annual conference, my final inspiration to you is me actually being here and the inspiration that I get from you by being here. It's 10 years since my first case conference. It's always inspired me. And so I encourage you to take your own pickle jar throughout the conference and to see what communications rocks you can fill it with. Thank you.